everyone. I'm Maheen Amjad. I am founder and president of WomenAscension. With us today, with the chapter Bangladesh, that is violence against women, we have with us Debra Efroysom. She is mentor at WomenAscension and co-founder and executive director at Institute of Wellbeing. We have Fatema with us. She is a country representative of Bangladesh, and she is a student at Asian University for Women. And along with her, we have Farjana, and she's also a student at the Asian University for Women. People of Bangladesh recognizes that prevention of violence requires sustained and comprehensive action at organization and community level. This webinar we have started with our guests. They are going to talk about the primary prevention, stopping violence before it occurs through behavior change interventions at community level. So I would like to start with Ms. Debra. She likes to call herself AV. So AV, please kindly let us know what you think about it.
Right. Thanks, Maheen. Several years ago, one of my other organizations, Work for a Better Bangladesh, we did some research on husband-wife relationships, and we wanted to get at some idea about violence. And part of why we did this, I had seen some research, I think by BRAC, where they asked men, is it okay to beat your wife? And the men said no. But then they said, is it okay to beat her if she doesn't cook good food, or she brings the food late, or she doesn't bring up the children properly, or if she talks to another man? And for each of those, a fair portion of the men said yes. So I got the feeling that men consider it unacceptable to be violent for no reason, but acceptable to train their wives, to educate their wives through violence. So that's obviously an attitudinal change that needs to happen. But we wanted to dig a bit deeper, because still, why is it okay when you train someone to hit them? So we talked to various men and women, and one of the interviews that really stood out for me was a man who said, of course, I would never beat my wife. My wife is the pillar of our family. The work that she does is absolutely vital to the family. So she is the one who cooks and cleans and takes care of all of us. If she were not doing all of that work, none of us would be okay. So yeah, I earn the money, but I don't do anything else. She does everything else. And from that, we thought, okay, one of the problems is probably perception that a woman who does not earn money does not contribute to the household. And, if you ask a lot of men, or you ask even a woman, young woman, what does your wife do? What does your mother do? A lot of people, if the woman does not have a paid job, they'll say she does nothing. But we know that's not true. So we did some further research to show the value of the household work done by women. So regardless of what they do for pay, women also are the ones taking care of the household in most circumstances. And it's a huge amount of unpaid labor that is absolutely vital to families and to society. And we found that if you put an economic value, we actually did this research in several countries, including Pakistan, if you put a value on it, for Bangladesh, we found it was higher than GDP. So we did a bit more work on that, but we do think that might be a key intervention. There's obviously attitudinal changes, and women make mistakes, men make mistakes, everyone makes mistakes. It's not okay to beat people, but also to understand the value of the woman doing all the work in your household, so that you do treat her with more respect and are less likely to engage in violence. I think there's a lot of other things that need to happen, but to me, that felt like a crucial element.
Thank you, Debra. Debra, what do you think? What should be done with the youth? They're listening to you. What should be done so that this thing doesn't continue in future? The cycle breaks.
Well, I think it's really important to start probably with children, and certainly with young people, because our attitudes do get ingrained at a pretty early age. Part of my problem is some of the messages I've seen, they show a man not beating his wife, and they put a red X through it. Don't do this. But then it's not clear, what do we expect from men? So if you're angry, how do you control your anger? If you're not happy about something, how do you have a conversation about it? I read an interesting book that talked about, well, there's a little formula, which is, when you do such and such, I feel this way, and I wish you would do this. And it said, basically, this was a book from America, but it said, we need to teach people this formula. If you are upset, you don't automatically react by whacking somebody, you need to learn to express it. And people actually need to learn how to do that from a young age. That's one piece. I think certainly men are the key people here, and we really need to target men and get all men to understand that violence against women is everybody's problem, regardless of whether you're involved. It is a societal problem. Everybody is involved. But I think a small element, I don't want to emphasize this too much because I don't want to put the burden on women, but I think women also, young girls, need to be trained to have more confidence. I think learning martial arts is great, to be able to stand up for themselves so that they do not feel that it's natural that they will be victims of violence. So I think working with young people starting quite young, trying to inculcate better attitudes and better techniques. How do you deal with anger? How do you communicate your feelings? Try to help people do that, understanding that violence is never acceptable under any circumstances. You must learn other ways of doing it.
Thank you, Debra. I would like to take this conversation towards Fatima. Fatima, Beta, what is your country doing to end and prevent violence against women and girls?
Hello, everyone. As we are talking about violence, I would like to spotlight the initiatives that Bangladesh, like in Bangladesh, women are facing. In Bangladesh, women and girls are facing incredible violence, and during in the past, and also it increased in the COVID-19 pandemic, highlighting the long-term system barriers, legal resources, and it's also harm the women's protections and the social services. If I focus on the Bangladesh government, what they do seems that the Human Rights Watch says that in a report that the crimes count as a Bangladesh entry the final phase, and the national plan to build it a society without violence against women and children by 2025. And Bangladesh also promised more opportunities for women to participate and to end to child marriage by 2041, to continue the commitment to work towards the social, economic, and political empowerment of women and girls, including the higher education. Bangladesh also providing and creating more opportunities for the women to participate in the politics, business, and government as well. It will act to end and form of discrimination and the violence against women, and the force a safer environment for women and girls to as an agent to change, as well as Bangladesh government has launched a hotline number only for the violence against women and children.
Thank you, Fatima. Farjana, I would like to continue with Fatima's thought that she has just explained like how Bangladesh is trying to end and prevent. I would like to have your point of view on what actions are people taking to end violence against women and girls.
So for Bangladesh government did different types of laws, different types of initiative for stop it. But only if the government take different types of laws and different types of initiative, it maybe not, it's not possible to remove these types of violence from the country. So first, I mean, in my opinion, I think we need to, mainly in general, people need to work against the violence, and we need to work from the root level. So who are the root level? Mainly the teenager and the people who are young generation, they are mainly from the root level. So if we are start from teaching them the young boys or young children like teenager from their early age that women have their own right, and teach the boys that treat the women in the different way, and they have the girls' right. And if any girl face different types of violence, and stand from beside them. So if we can teach the young generation from the root level, I think it's more easier, or it more convenient to remove the violence against women. And another thing can be stand against the rape culture. Actually, before the pandemic in Bangladesh, it's happened a lots of rape in from 2019 to 2020 in this year, in these 2 years. So in from the Bangladesh perspective, the main initiative should be stop rape, or against the rape culture. And another one can be create awareness from different types of perspective, create more NGO for the women and for the girls. So even some of the rural area, the people who are living in the rural area, they don't know about this. I mean, there is difference of balance, but they didn't take any initiative to stop it. So if we can create awareness in the rural area in Bangladesh also, so it more easier to stop it. And another point can be stop dowry system, because most of the violence happened in Bangladesh from the dowry and the early marriage. So if we can stop the dowry system and early marriage from Bangladesh, so then we can stop the violence against women.
I would
Thank
like
you,
to
Farjana.
add it to
Yes, Fatema.
yeah, I would like to add it to Farjana. As I have mentioned, the people of Bangladesh were not aware of women violence in the past, but now people are educating their daughters. They are themselves aware of the oppression against women, and the public and private NGOs are also working in the rural areas of Bangladesh. They are creating public awareness among the people, and through the various meetings, rallies, and some organizations have formed in different areas which work in their just own areas. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Fatima. Debra, you've heard these two ladies. What do you want to add or say in this regard?
Well, a couple of things. In terms of government's role, I think it's really important to understand what government can do and what it cannot. And I think it's nice that government says they're going to end violence against women. I suspect that's a little bit empty of a phrase, because they do not know how to do it. It's not an easy matter. And that they're saying they're going to do that before they end child marriage. And technically child marriage means rape. These are not girls who are in age of consent. So if they're being married at a very young age, I think it's now 16 is the age. So below 16, that's way too young. That is a form of violence against women. So why they're saying we're going to end that in 2040, but we're going to end violence against women sooner, that actually makes no sense. And the government can play a strong role in ending child marriage, because marriage it's pretty obvious when it's happening. We do know marriage is pretty visible. Violence is difficult because a lot of it occurs in the home. You can't have people policing homes. We don't want that. We can't have it, and we don't want it. So I think that is where in both cases, we really need to involve the entire community. And the best program I've seen from the bit of research I did was in Uganda, where they did have a full community approach, and they tried to get every person in the community involved to understand that this is our issue. This is not something that is related to other people. This is our issue. So they got the religious leaders, the community leaders, government leaders, teachers, anybody they could find, and everybody else. So they made sure to really make it an all community effort, have lots of discussions about it, really get into why is this happening? Where is this culture coming from? We talk about a rape culture. We talk about a culture of violence against women, but where is that culture coming from? And one of the things, there's various origins of it, but certainly things that reinforce it. One thing I would certainly say is TV and movies. I don't watch these low budget Bangladeshi movies, but from walking past a TV screen, I see this man throwing a woman across the room, or this woman cowering. And I suspect that's a common scene in these movies, and it very much normalizes violence. So this idea that violence is part of culture, it is acceptable, that's just how men are. And the idea that women are very weak and soft-spoken, I get very annoyed, I must admit, in Asia, that women tend to be very gentle and soft-spoken and afraid to assert themselves. And I understand the charm of that, but I also see the danger of it, because if you are in a bad situation or, likely to be in a bad situation, you need to be able to stand up for yourself. We had this conversation a couple of weeks ago with interns, who I got actually partly through WomenAscension, but also from Asian University for Women. And one of the women said she was on a bus and she fell asleep. And when she woke up, the guy next to her was harassing her. And at first she didn't know what to do, but then she pulled out her phone and she actually started to film him. And he got angry. And she yelled at him very loudly. She said, well, if you're going to harass me, I'm going to film you. And all the other passengers on the bus got involved on her side. And we discussed this. And if she had kept quiet, which is what you're supposed to do as a woman, like another woman said she was harassed in a rickshaw and she came home and she said it to her family and they said, well, don't talk about it. So that attitude of you're a woman, keep quiet. This is your shame, that it is shameful that you have been attacked or raped or beaten. You should not talk about it. That all needs to change. Women need to portray themselves, to feel strong and portray themselves as strong. Men need to understand that violence is not a form of strength. So we need to understand what strength really means, and the mental strength that when you're angry, you control yourself and you deal with things. Like I said, we need to teach young people, how do you deal with your anger? How do you deal with conflict without engaging in violence? And there are programs that have been developed in other countries that we could replicate here. So I think government needs to make it clear, we do not accept rape, we do not accept violence, we do not accept child marriage, but they can't implement the laws on their own. Especially, child marriage, hopefully more easily, but certainly the other laws, very difficult for them to implement. But if they set that tone, these are not acceptable, then you make it a full community problem and you try to get the full community involved, then I think you have some hope of bringing the problem much further down.
Thank you, Debra. All right, so it's the general question for all of you. Like, we really need to understand, like, as a summary, what do you want to say regarding this situation?
Shall I start?
Yeah.
I think it's really important. We talk a lot about violence against women, and I think sometimes we talk about it so much we forget how terrible it is. And the idea that a woman in her home does not feel safe. Or one of my interns, I asked her, are you married? She said, no. I said, are you afraid that when you get married, you might be a victim of violence? And she said, yes, I'm very much afraid of that. And the idea that a large proportion of women have very good reason to be afraid because they are victims, and other women are living in constant fear of being victimized. That's crazy. We should not accept that. And I think we need to be a lot more strong about that in our language, in our attitudes of, this is crazy. This is a really drastically horrible situation that must be fixed, and we must take this seriously. So we put a lot of serious effort into training our children. I don't even know what they teach in schools. I'm sure a lot of it is nonsense and not particularly useful in your life, but we don't teach the basic survival skills and relationship skills that allow us to have harmonious relationships and to treat each other as equals. Those things need to be taught in the schools. They need to be incorporated into clubs and different programs, working with young people, with children, with youth. And at the higher level, we need to make it absolutely clear that we do not accept these things, and we are going to work as a society to change them. I think if we actually start to take the issue seriously, and as I said, involve as much as possible all sectors of society, very much involve men as well as women, start at younger ages, then I think we have some hope.
Thank you, Debra. Fatema, Farjana, which one you want to say first? Yes, Fatema.
I would like to add it. As violence against women can cause long-term physical and mental health problems, it also affects the victim's family, her works, and her productivity. I feel violence against women often at the hand of men. It is a unique category of violence that relies on the historical and current unequal balance of power between men and women, or girls and boys. Violence against women is a crucial element that refers to man's power and control over the women throughout the world. On some level, most of us participate in this culture that supports and encourages the violence against women and girls in both smaller ways. Like we are telling our friends that man's up when they have to do something different or difficult, and there are some larger ways as well. I feel here are some small and big ways we can work to end it and at least interrupt it in every single day. And I also feel that we should educate ourselves on violence against women as well as the learn and the facts and the prevalence, how to prevent this issue. And also we have to believe the survivor as well. And we also have to speak out against all form of violence and question the gender rules. And I feel at home we have to teach our kids that respect is the minimum in a relationship and lead by the examples. We also have to teach them that violence is a crucial thing and how to behave with women or anyone. And also I feel we all should work together to eliminate this oppression to all kinds. Thank you.
Thank you, Fatima. Yes, Farjana.
Already Abby and Fatema mentioned different types of point. Most of the point already done maybe by them. So I feel from my family or from my perspective that how we teach, I mean, mainly it happened from the gender discrimination. So the gender discrimination happened from our family. When a child born, the first thing I saw from, if we saw chocolate or Kinder Joy. So see, there is two types of Kinder Joy. One is blue and one is pink. So why we give the children one is pink and one is blue Kinder Joy? We shouldn't do that. So if if we treat them that you are a boy, even in that when a child is a 3-year-old or 4-year-old, they shouldn't know that who is the boy and who is the girl, because they should treat as a child, not the boy and girl. But if we give that blue one is for a boy and pink one is for a girl, so why we even from our family and from the root level we teach our children that you are boy, you shouldn't do like this, you have to play with a plane, play with a car because you are a boy, and you are a girl so you should play with a toy Barbie doll. So we already from our family we teach our children that you should not do that because you are girl and you should do that. But I think from our family and from our children we should teach them that she is a boy, you should respect, and she is a girl, you both are same qualities. So you have what you want, you can do everything what from. So I think from our root level or from our children, if we sense our perspective, our cultural perspective, then we can do in slowly and day by day, then we can increase it. But because if we just talk about awareness and the stop violence, it's not easy, or it's not possible to stop from the young people, I mean from the old people, because they have already their own thing, all their maturity. So they already believe that yeah, it's the man already believe that it's my power to dominate a girl, because from their family or from their culture they learn it's not only their only their fault, it's our fault, our culture and our family fault, that we are not teach them like this way. So I think if we can teach from in the the discrimination, if we can stop from our family or from our culture, then I think it's easier for us, or it will maybe one day it will remove maybe. That's it.
Thank you, Farjana. Obviously, it's not a one-day process. It's a long
Yeah.
process, and it obviously will take time. But I'm glad to listen to you two that you guys are well informed and prepared to actually, have this battle and face it. This actually really sweet, and I'm very excited to hear your point of views. Debra, thank you very much. In such a rush, you said yes to us. We are really humbled. Thank you, Debra. And Farjana, good to hear from you. Fatima, thank you, honey, for your support always. From all of us, thank you very much. We are going to document this, and you guys are part of it, and we are happy to have you on board. Thank you again. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Maheen.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, and good to see you guys.